This is a COVID-19 induction training webinar for school bus escorts from the Department of Education. Before you do this training, it is required that you do the induction training provided for all school staff. This module is intended to provide greater detail for school bus escorts. The aims of the School Bus Escort Induction Training module. This module covers issues of particular interest or relevance to school bus escorts. Escorts should also complete the COVID-19 induction training for school staff in primary and special schools or post-primary schools, in addition to this module. This module is based on the requirements of the Return to Work Protocol and the interim health advice from the Health Protection Surveillance Centre for the safe reopening of schools. Section 1. Controlling the spread of COVID-19 on school transport. Control measures. How to prevent introduction and spread of COVID-19 on school transport. Promote awareness of COVID-19 symptoms. If you have symptoms, do not attend work, phone your doctor, and follow HSE guidance on self-isolation. Make school management aware of the situation. If you have been identified by the HSE as a contact for a person with COVID-19, do not attend work, make school management aware of the situation, and follow HSE advice on restriction of movement. If you develop symptoms, bring this to the attention of school management promptly. Physical distancing on school transport. The interim recommendations from the HPSC on physical distancing measures fall into two broad categories, that of increasing separation and decreasing interaction. The principle of distancing allows for some flexibility when needed and must be applied in a practical way. Therefore, in planning for normal resumption of school transport services, we have taken into consideration that school transport differs from public transport in that these services are controlled environments and that each transport service carries the same children on a daily basis to their school of attendance. It is therefore a restricted group of transport users which will facilitate contact tracing if required. Observing good hand and respiratory hygiene requirements and limiting interaction while travelling on school transport service will be a key priority. It is recognised that it is not always possible for school bus escorts to maintain physical distance from pupils, and it is not appropriate that they would always be expected to do so where this could have a detrimental impact on the pupil. That is, if a child's needs requires close contact. However, it is important to take measures to avoid close contact at face-to-face level as much as is realistically possible. Assigning designated seats for children on your service. In order to limit interaction between students while travelling on school transport, each child should have a designated seat on their school transport service. The school bus escort is required to assign each child within their care on the service to a designated seat on the first day of school. If possible, children should be seated beside a sibling or child from the same class group. The seating arrangement should remain the same for each child for the duration of the school year. Importance of good hand hygiene. Always promote good hand hygiene by hand washing or use of a hand sanitizer. Hand sanitizer dispensers can be provided by the bus driver on request, but it is important for all school bus escorts to have hand sanitizer with them at all times. Care should be taken to clean up any hand sanitizer spills to prevent risks of falls. Evidence of effectiveness is best for alcohol-based hand rubs, but non-alcohol-based hand rubs can also be used. Young children should not have independent use of containers of alcohol gel. We will now play a video demonstrating the correct use of hand sanitizer.
Please note that this technique is not appropriate when hands are visibly dirty or after using the toilet. In these cases, hand washing is required. Hand rubbing should take you 20 to 30 seconds. Use a timer or count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in each of the following steps. Apply a palmful of alcohol-based hand rub in a cupped hand, enough to cover all surfaces of the hands. Rub hands palm to palm, then rub right palm over the back of left hand with interlaced fingers and vice versa. Rub again palm to palm with fingers interlaced. Rub the back of your fingers to opposing palms with fingers interlocked, repeating this action for each hand. Rub rotationally left thumb clasped in right palm and vice versa. To clean the tips of your fingers, rub rotationally backwards and forwards with clasped fingers of right hand in left palm and vice versa. Once dry, your hands are now clean and safe.
When to wash hands or use sanitizer. All school bus escorts should perform hand hygiene on boarding and disembarking the bus, before and after tending to pupils with special educational needs while on the bus, when they cough or sneeze, or after helping a pupil or student when they cough or sneeze. Use of PPE by bus escorts on school transport. For children with special educational needs, maintaining physical distancing in many instances will not be practical or appropriate to implement. The department will provide funding to schools for the provision of masks or visors as appropriate, bearing in mind the special educational needs of the child or children on the service. For school bus escorts, PPE may be required where there is a situation whereby physical distancing cannot be maintained, where there may be prolonged close contact, and or where exposure to fluid or respiratory droplets may be likely. For dealing with suspected COVID-19 cases, appropriate PPE will be available from your school. You should be aware of where and from whom to obtain PPE if required. Face coverings, masks and visors. All staff and students on the post-primary school transport scheme must wear face coverings unless there is good reason not to do so. Face coverings should not be worn by any of the following groups: primary school children, any person who has difficulty breathing, any person who is unconscious or incapacitated, any person who is unable to remove the face covering without assistance, or any person who has special needs and who may feel upset or very uncomfortable wearing the face mask. For example, persons with intellectual or developmental disabilities, mental health conditions, sensory concerns, or tactile sensitivity. Staff at both primary and post-primary levels who cannot maintain a 2-metre distance from students or other staff, or who have close contact with students, will be required to wear face coverings. Schools should consider the specific circumstances where the use of medical face masks to EU standard EN 14683 may be more appropriate for school bus escorts, where staff need to be in close and continued proximity with students with intimate care needs. All staff and students wearing face coverings should be reminded not to touch the face covering and to wash or sanitize their hands using a hand sanitizer before putting on and after taking off the face covering. Staff should be aware that they should wash or sanitize hands before and after helping a student put on or adjust a face covering. Section 2. What to do if a pupil develops symptoms of COVID-19 while on school transport. Dealing with a suspected case of COVID-19. The following procedures must be implemented if a pupil displays symptoms of COVID-19 while on school transport. The escort should notify the bus driver of the situation and request that the driver stop the bus when safe to do so and at a safe location. The pupil should be given a face mask to wear, if this is possible with regard to the pupil's special educational needs, and brought to an area of the bus away from other pupils. The school bus escort should contact the pupil's parent or guardian and request that arrangements be made for the child to be collected or dropped home as soon as possible. The bus driver should contact the school transport supervisor, that is the bus inspector, and inform them of the situation. If it is not possible to maintain a distance of 2 metres, School bus escorts caring for a pupil should wear a face covering or mask. Gloves should not be used as the virus does not pass through skin. The HSE will inform anyone who has come into close contact with a diagnosed case via the contact tracing process. Section 3. Recap for school bus escorts. Points to note. Make yourself aware of the symptoms of COVID-19 and monitor your own well-being. Self-isolate at home and contact your doctor promptly for further advice if you display any symptoms of COVID-19. Do not attend work if you have symptoms of COVID-19. If you develop any symptoms of COVID-19 while at work, adhere to the procedures outlined in the school response plan. Complete a return to work form before you return to work. You must inform school management if there are any other circumstances relating to COVID-19 not included in the form, which may need to be disclosed to facilitate your safe return to work. You must complete COVID-19 induction training and any other training required prior to your return to work. You must be aware of and adhere to good hand hygiene and respiratory etiquette practices. Keep yourself fully informed of the updated advice of the public health authorities and comply with same. Working with the lead worker representative. There will be a lead worker appointed in your school. Strong communication and a shared collaborative approach is key to protecting against the spread of COVID-19 in schools and looking after the health, safety and well-being of staff and students. The role of the lead worker representative is to represent all staff in the school regardless of the role, including SNAs, and be aware of specific issues that may arise in respect of different staff cohorts. If you have any concerns or observations in relation to the COVID-19 response plan in your school, control measures or the adherence to such measures by staff, students or others, you should contact the lead worker representative who will engage with school management. Thank you for taking part in this training. We hope you find this useful on your return to school. Further information is available at www.gov.ie/back to school.